PJ, how'd you take this?
Not well. You never do, but it's that's the nature of our business. It was explained to me back in December when they made the change that you're the interim guy. Get us to the end of the year. When the year's over, we'll sit down and we'll talk with you. So, that's exactly what they did, and there was never any discussion during the year. There was never any looks good, looks bad, anything. So, waited to hear what was said, and we met Sunday at noon, and Billy was very candid, and they want to move in a different direction. They want somebody that Billy said, philosophically is more in line with the way he viewed the roster and the way they wanted it run. So that's their prerogative. Disappointing because I thought we did a good job, but when you own a team and when you're the GM, you do what you got to get the guy you believe is the right guy. Did you and Billy have a difference of opinion on personnel? No, I don't think we had a difference of opinion. I think we looked at some of the players differently, but that's inevitable unless Doug Collins had an interesting thing years ago that GMs and coaches should always be hired together and fired together, and obviously it can't work out like that. But, that's one of the huge differences between college and pros. In college, you are the GM. You pick them, so it makes it a little easier, and it's just inevitable that people are going to look at players differently if you're the guy drafting them or you're the guy trading for them or you're the guy sitting on the bench playing them. So, no, there were not big philosophical differences at all. But, when Billy said that, I said, Bill, what do you mean by philosophical differences? And, then he explained it's the way I looked at some of the players. And the roster's not going to change, essentially. They're so capped in. They've committed so much money long-term to a lot of the roster that it's not going to change. It's only going to be tweaked a little bit. Billy's hands are pretty much tied. As generous as Michael wants to be with spending money to, put a championship team in Brooklyn, their hands are tied by the rules, by the contracts that we have right now. So, again, I understand where they're coming from. Billy was totally candid, and it's just disappointing because I think it's a great opportunity. I think the franchise right now, the first year in Brooklyn relatively went so well. It was the first year for a lot of these guys playing together, and I think that experience collectively is going to make a big difference, especially in playoffs going forward. But, Brooke never got to play with Darren last year. Gerald came at the end of the year. Reggie and Joe this year. So, these guys all playing together going forward will be a plus. And Brooklyn's been magic. Barclays Center's fantastic. I think it's there's only 30 jobs in this league. This is one of the better jobs right now because this is a team that can win games. So, with a good owner and a really good GM. So, I'd rather be here than anywhere else. So it was a great opportunity. Well, would this have been the same outcome if you had won that game and lost to the Heat? Yes, yeah, I would say yes. So? Very confident. Well, then that's unrealistic because they're not in that class yet. They have more to do, and like you said, it might be hard to do. Let's get to what happened here in Game 7, PJ. What obviously you can look to Joe Johnson, and, when your star two-guard has a nightmare night, it's hard to win the game, no question. Plus, I'll tell you ran into the Willie Yannick Noah. He could play for me anytime because that guy, man, he wants to win. That's all there is to it. Well, he's an unbelievable competitor, and they had him on a minute restriction for most of the series. I think in Game 6 and Game 7, they just said, hey, we got to win, even if it's more than we want to play him. But Joe was not 100%, Mike. That's the big difference. Joe was, he had to get the treatment before the game. He had to get the shot. He was playing injured. If it weren't playoffs, he wouldn't have played. And I just think it caught up with him by the time we got to Game 7. Joe Johnson's a money player. That was uncharacteristic of him to not shoot the ball as well as he did in that game. But we still could have, Michael, we didn't defend in the first half. No. We didn't match Noah's intensity on the boards. And that vacillated wildly during the playoffs. There was games where Tibbs said we didn't match Brooklyn's intensity on defense or Brooklyn on the boards, and there were games where we complained about it. So he just came out like a man possessed. And Brooke, when the game was over, Brooke Lopez takes the heat and stands up and goes, it's my fault. He was my guy. our defense was so poor in the first half.
So poor. Giving up dunks.
Times Brooke was trying to block shots because other guys are getting beat. And when that happens, when you got a shot blocker protecting the lane like a Dwight Howard or in this case Brooke, somebody else has got to rotate back and box out his man. Now, in fairness, that's not an easy guy to box out, Noah. But some of those runs were because Brooke was trying to put his finger in the dike and some other holes, and people didn't get back. So Brooke took more criticism, way more than he should have, and it was classy of him to step up and say it was on him, but that wasn't true. There were times when he could have, done a better job boxing out himself, but it was a team. It was more a team breakdown, particularly on the defensive end in the first half, especially the second quarter. I mean, we got out of the first quarter still only down 29-25, despite the fact that we weren't defending at all, but we were still scoring. And where it got away from us was in that second quarter, and we did a poor job. And,
right before the half.
Yes,
yeah.
And then in the second half, we came out with great intensity and took control of the game, but, we were always one more stop or one more shot to go down away from getting back in it. I mean, the atmosphere in the building pregame and especially third quarter and fourth quarter was tremendous. They weren't going to go away, but, we had a shot, Michael, with 40 seconds to go,
yep.
a three-point shot open that cuts it from 5-2, and then you're looking at, hey, guys, one stop, and we got the ball back to either tie the game or win the game. So with all the things we did wrong, we still gave ourselves a chance. But it was a disappointing effort. I think in retrospect, maybe we didn't play with the same fire that we did in 5 and 6 because our backs were up against the wall. Maybe coming home for Game 7, maybe we thought, I don't think we took it for granted by any stretch, but we just didn't seem to match the desperation level of the Bulls. And I'm sure Tibbs would say they didn't match our desperation level in Games 5 and 6. So that's just the way it is. But we didn't. The first half, particularly the second quarter, was very disappointing in a Game 7.